What's up, everybody? You got Will here from Three and a Possible. We're giving you a little Week One preview. We couldn't coordinate a time for the three of us to get together, but I think Joe and I will post some videos of our picks for some key games this week for Week One. So I'm gonna kick mine off with Steelers at the Bills. Huge game. Two teams that people think can be some title contenders. I am rocking with the Bills in this one. As much as that pains me to say, I think the Bills take another step this year. There's been a lot of turmoil in Pittsburgh this offseason, a lot of turnover. Offensive line's not so great, or at least we don't know if it's going to be great. A lot of retooling there. The Bills pretty much bring back all of their key players from last year. We saw Pittsburgh kind of flounder at the end of last year. I don't know that just changing Najee Harris for James Conner is going to fix all their issues on offense. And I think the Bills' defense probably gets a little better from last year. I liked some of their draft picks, most notably Gregory Rousseau out of Miami for at the defensive end. I think he's going to be able to harass Pittsburgh enough, combined with everyone else on the Bills' offensive line this week. Picking Bills start their season off 1-0. Next game, Cardinals at Titans. I think this is a really interesting one. Might be the most interesting game of Week One. You got the Cardinals, who started off really hot last year. Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins. They draft Rondale Moore. They add AJ Green. They bring in James Conner. Kenyon Drake goes out. I think that gives them a little more stability in the run game. As a Dolphins fan, I love Kenyon Drake for the time he was in Miami, but Kenyon Drake can drive some coaches crazy with the negative runs. I think James Conner is a little more downhill, and I think that puts them in better second and third downs when they can use him along with Chase Edmonds. And then the Titans are a team that, last episode I told you guys I think is going to win their division. Julio hasn't been able to practice every day, hasn't been practicing a ton with the Titans, so I'm a little concerned week one that the chemistry won't quite be there with him and Tannehill. But one connection I know I don't have to worry about is A.J. Brown, Ryan Tannehill. So I think they'll still be fine there. Derrick Henry's still Derrick Henry. The Cardinals have made in the last couple off seasons a lot of additions that I really like on defense because I think they fit the modern NFL really well. A couple drafts ago, they took Isaiah Simmons in the first round. He was my favorite defensive prospect of that class. This year, they took another one of my favorites, Zaven Collins. But they're both a little leaner linebackers, and they're very fast. You can use them all over the field. I worry that they don't have enough strength in their linebacking core to deal with a Derrick Henry. So I'm gonna go Titans here. I think Titans get the win against the Cardinals. I think it'll be a good game, an exciting game. So if you're looking and trying to determine what game you're going to watch this weekend, I think that's a good one to start with. But I'm gonna go with Titans. The next game we got Seahawks at Colts. I think this one's better in the names than it is, or at least how it's going to play out on the field. Carson Wentz and Quentin Nelson look like they're going to be back for the Colts. I think the Colts actually win this game by about 10 points. I don't think it's going to be as close as others might think. Russ is Russ. He's going to do his thing. But I didn't see enough improvement for Seattle's defense. KJ Wright left. It's another good piece that they had that's out the door. And that Indianapolis Colts offensive line is probably the best in the league when they're fully healthy, which it looks like they're going to be for week one. So I think they're going to be able to run the ball very effectively. I think Carson Wentz will have a good day. He's going to be well protected. And we've seen in the past when Carson Wentz gets protection, he's a very good quarterback. When he's not protected, he looks like a train wreck. But I think he'll be protected. And I think we could see this year potentially a return to the 2017 form when he was en route to winning an MVP until the injury with about 3 games left to go. And then Nicky Foles wins Super Bowl and turmoil ever since. But I think he bounces back really well this year with Indianapolis. I think Indianapolis is one of the more complete teams. I think they're pretty assured a wild card spot, and I think I think they win against the Seahawks, who I think will have to outscore a lot of people and are not quite ready for a team as completely constructed as Indianapolis Colts. Next, we got Chargers at Washington. I think this is a really interesting one. You got some teams that I think people would kind of classify as up and comers. Justin Herbert had a great rookie season last year by all accounts, except for maybe the fourth quarters. Fourth quarters of close games. He struggled a little bit. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. One touchdown to four interceptions when it was within one score in the fourth quarter. So he'll need to look to improve upon that. But I mean, there's no arguing with what he did as a rookie. I mean, it's one of the, if not the best, top two or three rookie campaigns by a quarterback ever. So, they're going to be exciting. They get a lot of pieces that were injured on defense back this year. Bosa, um, Derwin James. That defense could become top 10 if everything goes right and they stay healthy. Top 5 potentially. So you combine that with how Justin Herbert's starting games, it might not matter how good he is in the fourth quarter because they might be able to just put teams away by the third quarter. Another team that I really think is underrated is Washington. So this is going to be like a really good game. Washington's front seven might be best in the league. It's up right up there with with Tampa Bay, who we saw play on Thursday, and they had their struggles with the Cowboys, which I'm sure my buddy Joe is all excited about, as they are one of his 30 teams that he likes to root for. But Washington added Ryan Fitzpatrick in the offseason, who the name I think lends itself to a little more criticism than it's really earned in the last few years. His 2 years in Miami, he was a good quarterback. He was a top 10 quarterback by most metrics. Now, do I think he was actually in the top 10 of best quarterbacks? Probably not. But he's definitely an upgrade over what they've had the last couple years, and they've got some weapons on offense that were just going grossly underutilized. Antonio Gibson last year had a great rookie campaign. Terry McLaurin is a stud if he can just get somebody to give him the ball, which I think Fitzpatrick will. Logan Thomas, the converted quarterback to tight end, I think he really fits well with what Ryan Fitzpatrick does. Ryan Fitzpatrick throws what I like to call YOLO balls. Sees his guy has one-on-one coverage, just throw it up to him, have him go make a catch. So I think that'll fit well with him. So I expect Washington. I think I said it last episode. I think they're going to win about 12 games this year, partly because they're in a really bad division. So that's going to help boost their record a little bit. But I do think they are a legitimately really good team. I'm leaning Washington here with LA having to make the West to East Coast trip. And I think that front seven bothers Justin Herbert enough to pressure him into some mistakes, which we did see him occasionally make last year. So next we got Browns at the Chiefs. We saw these two meet in the playoffs last year where anything was possible when my boy, former Dolphin Chad Henne, had to save the day, or at least ice the game out for the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes went down, had to leave the game, couldn't return. Henne was able to close out that game, but everyone's talking about it in national media, how complete of a team this Browns team is. They got Myles Garrett on one side, Clowney on the other, Denzel Ward, Greedy Williams, Grant Delpit. They got so many good players all across their defense, and you got Odell, Jarvis Landry, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Baker. To me, went from overrated to vastly underrated, and I think he's still a little underrated. I think he's a very good quarterback, and I think he can do everything that they want to do in Cleveland. Now, I'm not going to pick them over the Chiefs, who we previewed last week, is my pick to go to the Super Bowl. But I think this is going to be a really good game. This is two heavyweights meeting in week one. Should make for some very good television. Definitely tune in to check this one out. I expect the Chiefs to win, just too much with Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman. We know the names. Clyde Edwards-Helaire running the ball. They're loaded. They invested a lot into their offensive line, so that's gonna pay big dividends, I think, for them, because we saw in the Super Bowl their biggest issue wasn't that they didn't have weapons or fun, shiny toys. They couldn't protect Mahomes. Mahomes running for his life. They invested in the offensive line. Lucas Niang, who they drafted 2 drafts ago who opted out last year for COVID will start at right tackle for them. Very good player, was actually my favorite tackle of that very loaded class last year. Now I don't know if he can live up to Tristan Wirfs or blanking on their names, Willis, but I think he can be right up there in their category. So I think the offensive line does what they need to do. They beat the Browns week 1. Then the matchup I want to talk about, Dolphins Patriots. I have never in my life wanted the Dolphins to blow out a team and embarrass them so badly. For those of you who don't know, I'm a huge Cam Newton fan, so it pained me when he went to New England, and then to see how they did my boy Cam, can't let that slide. Can't let that slide. I definitely think the Dolphins win. I know national media is out there making it seem like the Brady Patriots are back just because they insert another, I guess, misjudged or undervalued quarterback. I don't get it. Um, Everyone's acting like they don't know what to expect from Tua, but they know everything to expect from Mac Jones. I think that's ridiculous. Mac Jones backed up Tua for 3 years at Alabama for a reason. I don't think that much changed in 1 year. I think the Dolphins last year had a lot of success against young quarterbacks. Justin Herbert had like 2 bad games last year, one against the Patriots where he got shut out, and then the other one was against the Dolphins when he threw for only like 180 something yards, interception to Xavier Howard. I think a lot of those same things that gave, I said earlier, Justin Herbert had, if not the best, top 2 or 3 rookie campaign last year. That's probably unfair to expect of Mac Jones. I think the Dolphins defense got a little better. So I think it's just going to be a rough day for Mac Jones for his first career start. I think he'll still be a fine quarterback in the NFL, but week 1 is not going to happen. I don't expect him to have a very good day. The Patriots are going to try and run the ball. I think the Dolphins will sell out and then basically make Mac Jones use those crappy receivers that Brady didn't have, Cam Newton didn't have. They didn't all of a sudden get better. Going to try and make those guys beat Xavier Howard and Byron Jones. Not going to happen. So I think the Dolphins just take away the middle of the field for the tight ends in the running game. I think the Dolphins win handedly in New England. Packers at Saints, another big one. These two are kind of perennial contenders. I think the Saints are going to be very good this year. I'm not that concerned with Jameis Winston replacing Drew Brees. I think, if any coach could get the best out of Jameis, I think Sean Payton is definitely in that top 2 or 3. People forget that when Drew Brees went to the Saints, he wasn't the household name that we all know of Drew Brees now. He had some good years with the Chargers, but they obviously felt like after what he had done and plus an injury that they would have rather just gone with Phillip Rivers than Drew Brees. So not to take anything away from Drew Brees, but I'm just saying Sean Payton had a lot to do with his resurgence. So I think Jameis Winston has a very good year. They don't have Michael Thomas as of yet. He's supposed to miss, I think, the first 5 or 6 games. So I think the Packers win this one. And I think this game's probably lower scoring than most would anticipate. Usually when you think of these two teams, you think of a lot of points, all offense. You think of Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Devontae Adams, Kamara, Aaron Jones, all the offensive weapons that these two teams have. I think it's going to be lower scoring, like 24-17 type thing. But I think the Packers do win week 1. I would love to see a rematch down the line once these teams both kind of solidify their identity, though. I think that would make for a lot of fun. Go Packers week 1. And then the last game I want to talk about, Joe's Rams, one of his other teams. They host the Bears Sunday night. Should be an interesting game. I think the Rams definitely win. As I told you guys last episode, I think the Rams are probably the best team in the NFL now, adding Matthew Stafford. But I didn't want to leave Joe's team out because I know he's going to want to talk about them when he gets on here. But I think they win probably pretty handedly. I think the offensive line for the Bears is terrible. I think Aaron Donald and company have a field day. I think Andy Dalton probably has a rough day, and that's going to make for a lot of fun in Chicago media. And take it easy on our Chicago fans this week. All right, it's been a rough week. Chris Bryant made his return to Wrigley Field for the first time on Friday, as he'll be playing there again, obviously Saturday and Sunday. A lot of emotions going on. They're going to want Justin Fields. They want to feel good. Just give him, cut him some slack. The Bears are probably going to get beaten pretty good Sunday night, but take it easy on them. But those are kind of the key games that I looked into for this week. Hopefully we'll get Joe on here as well to talk about them in a later post. But take it easy this weekend, guys. Enjoy week 1 of the NFL. Best time of the year. Everyone's got a chance. Go Dolphins.